Hello everyone, I am Prepper Princess, the author of Living on Almost Nothing. If you are interested in purchasing this book, I will go ahead and leave a link down in the description box below. We all want to save money. Not only do we want to spend as little as possible, but we want to have a large savings account that can see us through any rough patches in life, as well as a retirement account so we can live the full life once our careers are completed. After several years on YouTube, it always occurred to me that people can be mathematicians, scholars, or bookkeepers at their jobs, but they still do not understand money. For some reason, money is different than just numbers on a page. It adds the same, it subtracts the same, it multiplies the same as regular numbers, but as soon as you put a dollar sign behind it, there is some sort of emotional involvement that seems to block the discipline of most people because there is emotion involved. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this money, so I'm going to enjoy it just as much as the effort that I put into earning it. Well, not everyone thinks that way, but the people that think like me are very few and far between. I know of only 2 people in my life that are like me, my best friend Shelly and one of my Patreon supporters named Charles. We all lived simple lives without the wants of the giant mansion or the newest car or gadget, but we value people. People are more important than experiences, and experiences are more important than things. Things are easy to get, but relationships are hard to keep. Today, I'm going to share the stories of 5 people that live just like me, my friend, and Charles. So let's get to it. Dale Schroeder would wake up every Sunday morning looking forward to going to church. He would take a short shower, then he would go into his bedroom and pick out his pair of good jeans to wear to church. Dale only owned 2 pairs of jeans. One pair was for work and the other pair was for church. After putting on his Sunday best and drinking his cup of homemade coffee, he would head out to church in his old, beat-up, rusted-out Chevy truck. Dale would spend his Sunday mornings praying, conversing with other church members, smiling, talking about his week, and listening to what his friends had been up to all week. After church, he would head home and get ready for the work week. On Monday mornings, his routine was fairly similar. Dale would wake up, he would take a shower, and put on his only other pair of jeans to get ready to go to work. Dale had a large black lunch pail, and he would make his lunches out of leftovers from dinner that he had the previous night. So, if Dale had chicken the night before, he would use the leftover chicken to make himself a chicken sandwich for lunch the next day. He might put in his thermos some coffee or tea, along with some reasonably priced fruit, and head out to his carpentry job that he held for 67 years. Again, he would head out in his old, beat-up, rusted-out Chevy truck. Dale never really married or had any children. He had decided long ago that that was not the life he was destined to live. Dale lived a simple and quiet life, and he had only one regret. That regret is that he was not able to afford to go to school when he was younger. When Dale passed away, his friends were absolutely astounded to find out that he had amassed a fortune of over $3 million. Since Dale could not afford to go to school when he was younger, it was his last wish to make school a possibility for those that were less fortunate than him. When Dale passed away, his fortune that had accumulated over years and years of living a simple life was able to send 33 young adults to college for free. These 33 people all met up in honor of Dale and paid homage to him over his lunch pail that he had brought to work with him every day. They call themselves Dale's Kids. Some became doctors, teachers, nurses, and therapists. Dale knew that they couldn't pay it back, so his only wish to his kids were that they would pay it forward. So although Dale may have lived what others would consider a lonely and boring life, he actually had himself 33 kids who will in turn help additional people and make the world a better place. Thank you so much, Dale, for your generosity and your kind spirit. Not long ago, there was an era where secretaries literally ran the lives of their superiors in the workplace. Their entire lives were dictated by the scheduling of their secretaries. The secretaries would make sure that their bosses' days were full of work, meetings, phone calls, computer work, and along with those tasks, secretaries would also be required to make purchases on behalf of their bosses while not making much money themselves. The salary of a secretary has always been considered small when comparing them with other jobs in the same sort of marketplace. Sylvia Bloom joined a tiny Wall Street law firm as one of its first employees in 1947. She worked there for a whopping 67 years while the company grew and grew to its now more than 1,200 successful lawyers, as well as hundreds of additional employees and staff members. Miss Bloom, unlike Dale, did marry. She married a wonderful man named Raymond, who passed away in 2002. He was a city firefighter who retired and took on a new career as a city school teacher, as well as a pharmacist on the side. I guess retirement just wasn't really in the cards for her dear husband. After marrying her husband, she kept her maiden name, Miss Bloom. Miss Bloom lived with her husband in a very small rent-controlled apartment in Brooklyn, New York, and before he passed, even her husband did not know how much money she had accumulated over her life. Miss Bloom was a bit of a cheapskate. She did not take cabs, but she only took buses and the subway, and she would only take them when it was absolutely necessary and she had no way of walking. She was known for her never missing work, even during snowstorms, when other employees would not even attempt to make the trek into the office. Aside from being super thrifty, she had one other little secret that helped her along the way. Since she was a secretary, her bosses would often have her make stock market purchases for them as part of her job. Whenever she would make these purchases, she would also make a purchase for herself for the same exact stock that her bosses were buying at that time. Of course, since she was just a secretary and she was on a secretary's salary, the purchases would be much smaller than her bosses, but she would make the purchases nonetheless. Miss Bloom did not like to accept gifts except for chocolate. She would accept chocolate. She was a child of the Depression and she knew what it was like to live without. She had amazing empathy for the needy and she wanted everyone to have a fair chance at life. After her passing, the bulk of her $8 million fortune went to Expanded Horizons College Success Program, which helps disadvantaged students prepare for and complete college. What an amazing gift that Miss Bloom has given, that this is going to change the lives of so many people. So thank you so much, Miss Bloom. Just living your amazing life. Grace, Groener, and I are truly kindred souls. Grace and her twin sister were orphaned at the age of 12 when her mother could no longer afford to take care of them. Both her and her sister were taken in by a rich family that paid for both of their college educations. She graduated way back in 1931 and became a secretary shortly thereafter at Abbott Laboratories. Grace never married and she lived a very simple and frugal life. When her adopted parents had passed away, she was willed a home and she lived in that home for the rest of her life. She did not own a car and she walked wherever she needed to go. Her clothes were purchased at rummage sales and thrift stores. Grace had a lot of friends throughout her life, and throughout her life she still enjoyed attending football games at the college that she had previously attended. Fortunately for Grace, she was a very lucky woman. While working as a secretary at the lab, she invested $180 in only 3 shares of the company she worked for in 1935. Over the years, the shares she purchased split multiple times and paid dividends. She would simply reinvest the dividends over the next 75 years. By 2010, when Grace passed away, her small investment was paying a dividend of $210,000 a year. Because Grace had lived such a simple and frugal life all of her life on a simple secretary's salary, she was accustomed to not spending money. She lived on Social Security and a corporate pension and continued living a simple yet fulfilling life in her retirement years. They were full of friends, travel, and good times. When she passed away, her entire fortune of $7 million was donated to the college where she still went in her elder years to enjoy their football games. Hats off to you, Grace. Alright folks, I simply cannot make a video like this without the mentioning of the now famous Ronald Reed. Ronald grew up in an impoverished farming house. He walked or hitchhiked 4 miles every day, each way to school, and didn't have a nickel to his name. When Ronald graduated high school, he joined the Army and he served during World War II. Upon his return, Ronald went home to Brattleboro, Vermont, and he worked as a gas station attendant for 25 years. Ronald was an extraordinary cheapskate, likely due to his upbringing. He drove around in his used Toyota Prius collecting firewood to chop that he would then sell on his property. Some of his neighbors and friends would buy the wood because they believed that he had hit hard times and needed the extra money. For every morning, Ronald would have a cup of black coffee and an English muffin at the local hospital cafeteria because it was the cheapest place in town. At one point, another patron paid for his meal, thinking that he did not have enough money to eat because of how simple his meal was and the way he was dressed. Ronald Reed had gone to his local library, which he loved, in order to read as many books as he could about investing. Ronald bought blue chip stocks from companies that he knew and used, like Wells Fargo's and Smucker's, and he would always reinvest the dividends. Ronald Reed did marry, and his wife had 2 sons from a previous marriage. That didn't matter to Ron, though, and he treated the 2 boys as if they were his own. After Ronald retired from the gas station, he had decided that retirement wasn't really for him, so he went back to work, but this time it was part-time as a janitor at JCPenney's. As his health started to deteriorate, he went to see a lawyer about his estate, and you wouldn't know he had money if you looked at him. He wore simple plaid shirts and khakis, and his jacket was held together with clothespins after the buttons had fallen off that he never fixed. After the meeting with his lawyer, she offered to walk him back to his car, and it turned out to be a really, really long walk. The reason for the long walk was because Ronald did not want to pay for parking, so he parked his Prius like super far away from the lawyer's office. Over the years, Ronald had paid for his son's educations, and he amassed a fortune of over $8 million. After his death, of course, his sons and his wife were taken care of, but the bulk of his estate was donated to the hospital where he enjoyed his daily breakfast and to the library that he loved so much, where they let him borrow books to read. Great job, Ronald Reed. All right, everybody, in closing, remember that judgment on cheapskates is prevalent. We are called tightwad, misers, and we are often blamed for not living a full life. In my personal opinion, all of these people had wonderful lives with a super duper amount of friends and tons of loved ones. They simply lived the way that they were intended to live. They used only what was needed in order to have a wonderful and fulfilling life and nothing more. I hope that this video was able to inspire some of you in ways that you did not realize before, and realize that we are all meant to walk different paths, but those paths can sometimes be directed to do more good once we are gone. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out.
Can't have a video without Rocky, huh, Rocky? Yes. Yes, you just farted, didn't you? Oh boy, that's just awesome. Who's my little cutie? Who's my little boop? Boop. Do you love mommy? Boop. What? What? Mr. Cutie Pants. Mommy loves you. Do you love mommy? Booger. You got boogers. Oh, you always look so relaxed in the videos. Yes, you do. Oh, hi. Hi there. Hi there. You want to hold hands? You want to hold hands? You want to hold hands? Cutie. My little boy, I love you. I do.